Welcome, everyone. We are delighted to welcome you to Out in Newark, Queer Club Spaces, a Sanctuary, which is a panel discussion and celebration of the rich history of ballrooms, clubs, and dance nights created or influenced by Newark's gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community. In a city that even today struggles with the curse of homophobia, the ballroom, bar, party, and club spaces created by queer Newark residents have historically functioned as sanctuaries. They were places where LGBT people could form community, express their creativity, and create new forms of music, dance, fashion, and verbal expression that were influential locally, nationally, and even internationally. They were places where style and confidence were prized. They were places where people who faced oppression in their daily lives could come and truly be themselves.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rodney Gilbert. I am the founder of Yendor Productions. That was Miss Beryl Satter from Rutgers University. Please give her a round of applause. We want to personally thank each and every one of you for coming out and sharing of your time in this celebration of who we are as a people. The Newark ballroom families in particular were also places where the LGBTQI Newarkers cared for each other in times of crisis. During the height of the AIDS crisis, for example, Newark's House of Jourdan, Bernie, put your hand up, they raised money to fight against AIDS, distributed HIV prevention information, lobbied the state government to devote more resources to the fight against the disease, worked on voters registration, and perhaps most importantly of all, provided care and shelter to homeless LGBTQI youth, some of whom were facing this deadly illness with no support from their primary families. We are proud and happy to showcase tonight some of the creators, the performers, and club goers who together created Sanctuary right here in the city of Newark. Let's give them a round of applause. I am proud. Sanctuary is a joint production of Rutgers University Queer Newark's Oral History Project, a community-based and community-directed initiative dedicated to preserving and sharing the history of the LGBTQI Newark, and of Yendor Productions, which is dedicated to promoting hope and healing through access to arts, integrated and cross-cultural programs and performances.
Rodney and I would both like to thank Christina Strasburger, who, yay! Couldn't do it without Christina, whose smart and dedicated management made this program possible. We'd also like to thank the sponsors of Sanctuary, and it's kind of a long and wonderful and fabulous list, so we're going to read half and half. Sanctuary is sponsored by the Rutgers University Office of the Chancellor, Faculty of Arts and Sciences, Newark Dean's Office, the Federated Department of History, Rutgers University-Newark, and New Jersey Institute of Technology, Rutgers University-Newark's Cultural Programming Committee, the LGBTQ and Diversity Resource Center, the Paul Robeson Campus Center, Rutgers University-Newark, the Institute on Ethnicity, Culture, and the Modern Experience, FASN Departments of African American and African Studies, English, Arts, Culture, and Media, Graduate Program in American Studies, Program in Women and Gender Studies, Honors College, MFA Program in Creative Writing, School of Public Affairs and Administration, Office of University Community Partnerships, Graduate School Newark, Center for Migration and the Global City, Cornwall Center for Metropolitan Studies, RU Pride, Rutgers University Center, New Brunswick Center for Race and Ethnicity,
Committee to Advance Our Common Purposes, Office of Institutional Diversity and Inclusion, Center for Social Justice, Education, and LGBT Communities, Newark LGBTQI Commission, Newark LGBTQI Community Center, Newark Essex Pride Coalition, African American Office of Gay Concerns, Project WOW, Newark Pride Alliance, City of Newark's Advisory Commission on LGBTQI Concerns, Hedrick Martin Institute, out in New Jersey, FemWorks, woo, NJCRI, And a special thanks to Dr. Homney from the City of Newark Health Department, who sat down with me and is really engaged in helping us come up with some healthy solutions for our community. I would be remiss without thanking my staff. Stand up, they're young, they're dedicated. I appreciate you guys for making this happen for us. Burl, it's back over to you.
All right, back over to me. We are I wanted to just very briefly, before we go further, to tell people that there are 2 fabulous books to purchase, or if you're interested. This Journey Through the House, House Music Volume 1, photographs by the great photographer Vincent Bryant, who is here and in the back at a table. These are photographs of, amazing photographs of Club Zanzibar. And of course, Gary Jardim's book, Blue, which is a foundational book that came out in 1995, 20 years ahead of its time, that's preserved through interviews and various forms of commentary, photos, everything, some of this history that you're going to hear tonight, and that was a big inspiration for this entire program. So Blue can be purchased out the door there, and A Journey Through the House in the back. And these are crucial for any library, and I hope you get a chance to own these magnificent books. So right now I would like to introduce Dr. Jan Ellen Lewis, Dean of the Faculty and Professor of History, Faculties of Arts and Sciences, Newark. Our dearly beloved Dean, someone who has changed this campus for the better, and from the moment she stepped foot on it quite a while ago. She hired me, first of all, but she's just a brilliant, impassioned, fabulous person, and has, this is the only campus I know where everyone loves the administration, and it's largely because of Dr. Lewis. So I'd just like to have her say a few words.
Thanks so much, Burl, for that lovely introduction. Hiring you is one of the best things I've ever done, and I had no idea that Burl and her colleagues, Whit, Tim, Christina, would partner with Rodney and Yender Productions and the Panelists and the incredible, this is the longest list of partners I have ever heard. And yeah, I knew you were going to do great things, not quite this, but it's such an honor to be able to be up here and to welcome everyone to what I know is going to be a spectacular program, and a whole series of programs this week and the next couple of weeks. This program and these partners are the embodiment of what our Chancellor, Nancy Cantor, sitting there in the second row, she belongs in the first row always, but what Nancy Cantor has called scholarship in action, and which she defines as a commitment to forging bold, imaginative, reciprocal, and sustained engagements with our many constituent communities. This is a kind of scholarship that simultaneously redefines what scholarship means and redefines what civic engagement means. It brings them to life, the images, the music, and Whit Stewart was actually, and Tim Stewart Winter both posted to Facebook, they're my Facebook friends, some of the music that we've heard here tonight. And this is what scholarship is. It redefines what scholarship is, and as Rodney's introduction makes clear, this is something that's joyous and fun and is also deeply serious in its purpose. And this is what we do here, and we're just so thrilled to have all of you here doing it. It's next my deep honor to introduce our mayor, Ras Baraka. I've never had the scary responsibility of introducing a mayor before, and I hope I can do this well. A good mayor, too. Thank goodness it's a good mayor I get to introduce. And I do know that Mayor Baraka, before becoming mayor, he was the principal of Central High and was long, as the principal at Central High, he was long our neighbor and our partner, and now I'm very happy to say that he's our leader in this city. I've been at Rutgers University, Newark, a very long time, as Burl suggested, And I have never seen a political campaign like the one that Mayor Baraka waged, one that empowered the people and spoke powerfully to the importance of education and democracy both. At a time when both democracy and education seem scarily fragile, we are very fortunate to have in the city a mayor who is so strongly committed to both. And I think it tells you everything that you need to know about our mayor's commitments and our mayor's values that he would come here to greet you tonight. Mayor Baraka.
So first, I just want to say, you know, I'm happy to be here tonight and excited. The only thing that bothered me is to hear Newark characterized as a place of homophobia. But I think that what's happening this evening is a way that we forge against those kind of labels that I, you know, kind of cringed when I heard it being said. It would be like if I was in a city, Mississippi somewhere, and they said this is a city that's wrought with racism. I think the mayor would feel some kind of way if he was a progressive person. So it makes me feel defensive, and I should feel defensive. But I am encouraged by the long list of people in this city who have supported this event this evening, which means that Newark is obviously moving in a direction that's positive. For people to put on this event also means that there's some encouraging things to say about Newark and its future, and to see the dean here to express her kind of love and interest in what's happening here, and obviously see the chancellor of the university sitting in this room as well, speaks volumes about not just Rutgers and the direction it's going, but about the city and the collaboration that we have made to make Newark a safer place for everyone. And I want to thank the chancellor for making Rutgers a sanctuary, because that's what she did this evening. So I you know, again, want to welcome you here. You probably should be welcoming me, but I feel good to be here and to make sure that we are, and Newark does its part in making sure that we create opportunities for all of our residents, the LGBT community especially, to have safe places to go, safe places that are called sanctuary, where we take care and support each other as residents, as citizens, and as human beings here on this planet that we share together. I'm also here because I frequented Zanzibar, probably when I shouldn't have, as a child. But my father was looking for me. I was at People's Choice. No, I was at Zanzibar listening to Timmy Regisford and Larry Levan and Tony Humphreys and the whole crew out there. It was just an amazing, amazing scene. If you grew up in Newark at that time, I don't care who you were, you made your way to Zanzibar if you could. And if you couldn't, you did it when you shouldn't, and that was me. And you stood in long, long lines to get in. And when I saw those pictures, it just brought back tons of memories all at once of me standing in line more than once a week, by the way, to go to Zanzibar. And that's when the clubs let out at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. This is before any of you guys' time out there. I see some of you young people. Clubs couldn't open up that late. We would stay out till 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and feel safe in some instances out there and partying and having a great and good time when music and dancing was a part of our life of growing up, was a part of who we were in Newark. And I was proud to go to Howard and D.C. and tell everybody I was from Newark, and we listened to club music in Newark. We didn't listen to all that other stuff. We listened to club music. And nobody knew what the heck I was talking about when I went to school and said, until I whipped out a tape, a mixtape of Tony Humphreys on his birthday at Zanzibar. And it started, "Happy birthday, Tony," at Zanzibar. Right? And on some, if you was lucky, you got to see the cat in the cage. And you would tell people that was going on. No one ever believed me. They thought I made that story completely up, that I danced in a club and it was a cheetah, a tiger, whatever it was, in a cage in there. It was amazing, and that was a part of my life that I'll never, ever forget. And it's just a part of Newark that's a rich history that's not celebrated, so I'm happy that we're celebrating it tonight. It is the true history and culture of this city, and I'm sorry that it's gone, and maybe we'll have the courage one day and the wherewithal to bring the club scene back to the city of Newark. So enjoy the panel. I know you didn't come to hear me speak. Thank you for coming and blessing us with your presence here in Newark. God bless. Thank you.
We forgot just one sponsor also, because the Dodge Foundation came on late. They're sponsoring poets for tomorrow night's Sanctuary Poetry event. We wanted to thank them. Also want to thank Tamara Fleming for the looping of the gay icons from Newark, that ongoing project that she's working on with all the support of that. And to you, Mayor Baraka, newly appointed I am to the LGBTQI Commission. We will eliminate the stereotype, the thing that you feel defensive about. We will remedy that together. I'm ecstatic to work under this administration. I've been here my whole life. I've never seen one work as aggressively as they have. So I'm very grateful.
So we're going to open with a reading by Ashley Noel Everett, who is a senior graduating this semester with a dual degree in anthropology and history and African American studies minor here at Rutgers University-Newark. She's a member of both Alpha Phi Theta History Honor Society and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. She is the former president of our own wonderful RU Pride, which is Rutgers Newark's LGBTQ student organization. So she is completing her thesis on queer nightlife in Newark, New Jersey. And she'll be reading a part of an interview that Gary Jardim published back in the mid-90s in his book, Blue. It was an interview with Shelton Hayes in which he described the formation of some of the early clubs in Newark. And Ashley is going to give us a dramatic reading of excerpts from this interview as a way to introduce this panel. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know how dramatic it will be, but I will do my best. I just wanted to say that I feel really honored to be reading this piece because this was actually one of the documents that I used for my senior thesis, so I hold it kind of close to my heart, so I feel, again, really honored to be sharing this with you tonight. So let's begin. It used to be an old art gallery at 36 Halsey Street. The ceilings were unusually high. You could look up from the ground floor and see straight up to the roof. His idea was fun, gala fun. That was Albert Murphy. When you first entered, you walked around a wall and all of a sudden you were in someone's living room, and you didn't expect that. Then you would go through the kitchen area. There was a constant flow in the kitchen of whatever he felt like that night, but never any alcohol. The basic fruit bar was a huge horn of plenty, a basket filled with all kinds of exotic fruits. He always had fabulous girls working behind the fruit bar, always beautiful and done up. Against the wall, there was a huge bookshelf under a staircase. And when you went upstairs, there was a den. Albert loved doves, and there was a huge bird cage of doves there. Off from that was the DJ booth. I remember when they were constructing Le Jacques, there was an illustrator named Manning, a Filipino gentleman who came over and got on a scaffold with some charcoal and sparkles and created what many thought was a woman, but it wasn't a woman. It was a transvestite. Well, it was a drag queen. It was not planned, it was not rehearsed, it was just out of the blue. And I mean, she stood every bit 25 feet tall. The club would open up around 10. We would get there at 9, and the famous line was Places. Al would come rushing through the club, and he would yell, Places, everyone. It was like a big house party. It never felt like a club. You would walk into the living room, and you would see on the sofa the famous model Billy Blair or Pat Cleveland, Beverly Johnson, Stephen Burrows, Willie Smith. I mean, how many places in Newark, back in the early 70s, could you go and see these fashion celebrities? You had people that were anywhere from 18 to 50 and 60 years old. Albert's friends starting off. There was Jamie McDonald, who was a designer from Newark. He drew out a membership card with 2 drag queens on it. Unfortunately, most of the LeJacques family has passed away. Some of the people who were at the center of the club were Tommy Garrett, Yvonne Garrett, Paul Wilson, Arthur Howard, Ray Parker, Daryl Rochester, Barry Hunter, Larry Patterson, Marvin Davis, Donna Davis, Buford Harge, Carl Wilson, Bobby Lyle, Sybil Moore, Erica Harris, and the Vaughn sisters. The list goes on. They were all very artistic. The musical feeling of the club would depend on the mood of Larry Patterson that particular evening. Gloria Gaynor was the disco queen then. Donna Summers, Vicky Sue Robinson, City Country City. Now you would call that underground music. You had songs like Black Skin, Blue-Eyed Boys by the Equals, which was a very popular club song then. It was a rebellion against war. Black Skin, Blue-Eyed Boys ain't gonna fight no war. Around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, it would reach its peak, and then from 4 on, it would start to dwindle down. Some mornings, Al would do a big breakfast. This would go on until 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If you felt like going home, you did. If you didn't, you'd fall out, grab a sofa, grab a pillow, and that would be it. Whenever you'd wake up, you'd make it home. LeJacques had no identity in terms of gender. You could be male, female, gay, straight, it didn't matter. As far as staff goes, there was 1 Newark policeman at the door, myself at the door, 1 person in the coat room, the girls behind the fruit bar, the DJ, and a light man. Today, Zanzibar has a security staff of 10 to 15 security guards walking around with radios. It's needed now. Then we started to get a lot of confrontations with the police. The area had started to become more residential, so the people were complaining a lot about the loud music. The police would come in, but they could never find anything to shut it down for. So what they would do is they would ticket all the cars, and they would do this every week. LeJacques closed up there, and shortly after opened on Market Street across from Bamberger's, but it was never the same again. Moving on to Zanzibar. Eventually, the Burgers came on the scene. They bought the Lincoln Motel, which used to be the Holiday Inn. They had this huge ballroom, and they wanted to do something with it, but they didn't know what. Apparently, Miles Berger was impressed with Al Murphy's vast reputation, and when the Club Abe's came about, which eventually evolved into Club Zanzibar. We wanted to create a classic club where people could come and feel safe and not have to worry. See, the thing with LeJacques was that they put it together on a very low budget. Miles had finances, and Albert had ideas. They both had a knack of overdoing everything. Mike had an entire club done like a jungle. Zanzibar itself is the name of an African island. When they first opened the club, they had these huge satin palm trees. I thought they were the gaudiest thing I had ever seen, but it went along with the theme. There was a cage as soon as you walked in the door with a live boa constrictor. There were animal skins on the walls, leopard cushions, but that gave you the feeling. At one anniversary party, there was even a baby elephant that they had brought into the club. It was a business investment for Miles, of course. It was done to attract people, to make money. But at the same time, it was giving Newark something that they had never seen before. That's what I think his whole concept was about. Let's do this to shock the city. Let's give them something to talk about. Thank you.
Okay, now our long-awaited panel. I just want to give a very brief introduction of the people on the stage here. Right here is Danielle Cooper. She will be one of the moderators. She is a transmasculine, two-spirited artist and activist that creates and resides in Newark, New Jersey, and she's a student at Rutgers, Newark. Next to her is Ms. Theresa, a club creator extraordinaire for the past 40 years. I'm sorry, 20 years. Sorry. All over. No. All over Newark, and even in she's known in really in states across the country for her club promotion. After this is Sir Dane, a fabulously gifted performer and who's had several hit albums in the late 70s and early 80s, whose fabulous music you heard coming in, and who was one of the gracing, founding musical, soul-stirring performers that made Zanzibar and many other clubs like it come alive at their height. Next to Jourdan is Peter Savastano, urban anthropologist, born and raised in Newark, and a club goer extraordinaire who was snuck into clubs as quite a young man and kept going for quite a while. So he will have the club goer's perspective for us. Next to Peter Savastano is Daryl Rochester. He is a cosmetologist and beauty salon extraordinaire, I'm sorry, purveyor. And he was involved with Le Jacques and Zanzibar in their early years. He was one of the formative people who was mentioned. He was involved in the fashion world, the dance world, and the club world early in, as they were forming to grow into their height. After that is Deneen Robinson, who is a PR strategist by day and a club promoter and creator by night, who creates bliss entertainment, bisexuals and lesbians, let's see, I get the whole thing. In sexy settings, I should have known that. And she does clubs and club nights throughout the Newark area. And next to her is Bernard McAllister. He is one of the founders of the House of Jourdan, currently part of the House of Ebony. It was his work that we heard about from Rodney earlier, whose house did so much incredible work at the height of the AIDS crisis and has continued to be very politically active and a fabulous and important citizen of this city. And at the far end, we have Gary Jardim. He is a journalist. He was a music journalist for many years. He wrote for the Village Voice. He wrote for some magazines and papers here in Newark. And he is responsible in many ways for this whole panel. He preserved the history of Zanzibar through interviews with some of the main people back in the 90s. And that book is, like I said, only now are we catching up to his book. Danielle on this end and Gary on that end will lead the discussion, and I leave it to you.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. We'll try to make it as entertaining and interesting as possible, and we got a whole great wealth of experience here on the panel, so let's get into it. While we have Le Jacques somewhat fresh in our mind, Daryl was a member of the Le Jacques family and grew up knowing Al Murphy practically all of his life, although Al was 10 years older. For those that really don't know about Al Murphy, and this is the